Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is the paid request from Mark, who wanted me to talk about episode 1, 2, and 3 of the documentary series The Comeback. This is episode the last one. And again, if anyone wants to send a paid request, links are down below in the info box. I saved the rest that I usually talk about because if you're watching this, I'm assuming you saw the first two parts, so let's get into it. But yeah, the last part, episode 3. By this point, the Red Sox, they lost the 2003 season. It was 3-3. They lost it, so it was 4-3. And the Yankees won that, but went on and lost the World Series. They set up the Curse of the Bambino. Episode 2, they set up how the coach, the manager, was fired. They tried to get A-Rod. Things screwed up. He went to the Yankees. Nomar, who is beloved by the fans and the Red Sox Nation. He was going to be traded, but he had to stay, and that had a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Would have been nice to hear from him and his point of view of things going on, more so, but same with A-Rod, but sometimes it's just how it is. There's friction, there's some fighting, but they have another fight on the field. They become a bit more of a team. They trade Nomar. The guy, Theo, is judged. And we get to episode 3, where they're 10 games behind. They're tying for the wild card. If they win the wild card, then they get into the playoffs, so to speak. And I do like some of the stuff I like. I like the new manager, Terry. I like that he got a phone call from the CEO where apparently the guy said, "This is not acceptable." And the guy's like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? I hope your day's going well." And the guy repeated, "This is not fucking acceptable." Okay. It's like, what else is he going to say? It would have been nice to hear more about the wins they got to get to the wild card. And have a little bit more of that, because we saw a lot of them being defeated, so it would be nice to hear about the wins they were getting and some of those games maybe. Just since it's part of the season, the comeback season, so it would be nice to hear if there's any stories of those games that they were winning to get to the 98-64 to become the wild card. And they should say that they win the wild card, but just would have been nice to just hear a bit more about that, because I think that's just as important. Now, the big importance is them facing the Yankees once again and what happened there, because that's truly where the comeback really comes into play of the title. But yeah, just would have been nice to hear a little bit more of the other season, the wins, before we get to that. Any little stories in between that. Like, I would have been fine if this was a little bit longer, I guess is what I'm saying. But they talked with a few other people. David Ortiz, who's the designated hitter, who's definitely a big reason why they're doing well. I did like the bit where he says he's kind of working at the batting cage. Not batting cage, but kind of working on his swing. And he sees that Terry, the new manager's looking at him. He kind of turns and goes, "Is there something you want to say about me swinging this hand, hitting the ball?" And apparently the coach went, "Me? No, I mean, I used to be a player. You hit better than me. What am I going to tell you? You figured it out, big guy." And David Ortiz laughed about that and said he really enjoyed that guy, Terry. So I thought that was a pretty funny exchange. There's a lot of folks to keep track of. Does it feel like every 5 minutes there's a new guy I haven't seen before? Okay, he played this position. Okay, now he played this position. And I see the older footage. Okay, who's that guy? I think that guy's... It's a lot of people to keep track of, especially a guy who's a noob, who doesn't know jack squat about baseball, let alone the Red Sox. So sometimes I was a bit confused on stuff, but thankfully not too confused. Maybe a few stuff later on, which I'll ask. And Mark, if he's watching, maybe he could explain in the comments. But I'll get that in a minute. But they have a 98-64 record. They win the wild card. They're at the American League Championship Series. Well, as I call them, the semifinals. And they talk about the games where Kurt Schilling, the starting pitcher, the first game, his right ankle tendon is torn, is hurting, it hurts him getting the ball to the plate, results in them losing, and how he felt bad about that. They lose the next two games. They did 0-3, and this article from this reporter said that they're frauds. I didn't. Millar, I keep forgetting his name. Kevin Millar. Yeah, he's my favorite in the documentary. Just talked about how he was on the toilet reading the paper. He was pissed off. And later he saw the reporter and it's like, listen, I'm a gangster, man. Okay, listen, we're going to show you. We're definitely going to show you, alright? And like, he gets the team kind of pepped up. And so, they're about ready to be kicked out. One more loss, they're gone. It's the 9th inning. They're down. And this feels like a movie. Like, that's the crazy thing. This feels like, if you put this in a movie, it'd be deemed unrealistic. And yet, this happened. 9th inning, they're down. Millar goes up and goes, yeah, I'm a gangster. I gotta do something. Just one more out and they're done. I believe, or was it? I don't know if they said how many outs they were, because here's where it gets confusing. Millar hits the ball. No, he just hit. He just hit by the ball, and he gets a walk. Now, I'm assuming walk means he gets the first base. Well, I guess... See, I was a bit confused. I guess they were down. But I don't remember how much they were down by. So Millar walked. And then this other guy who's good at stealing bases, he came up. And it showed more about him being able to steal bases. And then this guy was able to steal more bases. And they did fairly well with that. And then when he got home, it was tied. But I'm still going, well, what happened to the Miller guy? Because if the Miller guy walked, he'd be on the base. Then the next thing I know, the other guy hits it, gets to first base. And then it's more about he's trying to steal base, he goes back, he tries to steal base, he goes back, goes back a third time, goes back, but I don't know what happened to Millar. Did he get an out? Did he, if he walked the base, wouldn't they have been tied, or were they down by 2? And he walked, when you did, because I thought if you did hit, don't you get a walk just to first base? And I think that's how it is in baseball, like you get hit, you get a, or do you get, when you get a walk in baseball, yeah, he's awarded first base. So yeah, that means he would have gotten the first base, but then what happened to Millar afterward? Did he get Ted out? Which then, if that's the case, then what was the big deal of him hitting the ball? Because they made a big deal that Millar hit the ball and got to first base. I keep screwing that up. They made a big deal that he got hit by the ball and had a walk and went to first base. What was the big deal about that? Because it didn't say that he got home and they got a point. If they got, that means he must have gotten out. That means he had another out. And then this guy, the guy who was able to steal the base, he was the guy to look at, to pay attention to. I just don't know. I know I'm making it needlessly confusing. Sorry, I'm a noob. I'm a complete noob. If Mark... if you're out there, please feel free to explain, because maybe I'm making it needlessly confusing, but I thought they kind of made that confusing as a guy that didn't know much about that. I'm like, He got a walk, and then I never saw him again. Did he get out? If he got out, what did it matter that he got hit and got a walk? I was confused by that, so sorry for my stupidity on that. That was one thing I was a bit confused by. I'm like, did I miss something? But Ortiz comes up. But yeah, that guy, I forget his name. He went, stole bases, did well, had them tied up. And then Ortiz came in, got two more, and they won. So now at 1-3. They don't talk much about the next game. Just that they're now 2-3, and these are the point they're taking shots in the back in Gatorade cups. For Kurt Schilling, they have him pitch again, and I guess they stapled the tendon down so the flesh wouldn't flap. Just sounds so painful that your damn tendon had to be stapled down. Jesus. And it probably got intense by the fans that they had to have cops and riot gear by the stands just in case. I thought there was a bit more that could have been talked about with some of those games. Like Game 7, which is the end-all be-all. It felt like that was rushed. Like, I felt like that Game 7 would have been talked about a bit more. Especially what, not only is it a win, it's a triumphant win. They won like 10-3, which is crazy. Like, you think that would have gotten a lot more talk in the documentary. That not only did you win, but you smoked the motherfuckers. Also, did Pedro Martinez do anything in this big comeback? Because they're down 0-3. I didn't hear anything about Pedro Martinez doing anything. Did he not do anything? They didn't really put any emphasis on him. They do put emphasis on Tim Wakefield, who was a pitcher who did well, and I guess by this point he sadly recently passed away, which is too bad to hear. So it's nice he's given recognition. But for those 4 wins, they had to win 4 in a row. Did Pedro Martinez do anything? Did they don't mention him? Millar, when he got hit and went on the walk, did he get out? What did it matter? Like, what was that all about? Game 7, I think there's a little bit more they could... Like, it just seemed like there's stuff rushed. If that's the case, then I would have preferred one more part and have this be a 4-part documentary. Like, it could be... They're 10 behind, and they get the wild card, they win the wild card, and they get to their 0-3. And have the episode end where they're 0-3. And then you get to the final, which is the comeback. They win 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. And spend a bit more time with that. So, would have been nice to hear more from Pedro Martinez. You know, since they set him up at the beginning of the document to be a big figure, he kind of disappears in this part of the doc. And then the whole Millar thing, I wish that was a bit more better explained, at least for me, who's such a noob at this. And Game 7 just felt like it was rushed, like, oh, then we did this, and then we won. I mean, no, but this is like the creme de la creme of it. Then they mentioned how they went to the World Series, and they didn't spend a whole lot of time on that. They had to, as if like, hey, that was a piece of cake. Like, you felt doubt. You're at the World Series. Like, this should be more, better talked about too. Emphasis on this. So that was really one of my only issues with this whole series is by the end, the finale felt rushed. Oh, we're at the World Series and we did well and blah, blah, blah. It's like, really? Like, no details on that. Also, I'm surprised they didn't mention, not only did this end the losing streak, the Red Sox won more titles after that. They won again in 2007, then 2013, and then 2018. So they've won 3 more after this. Which, considering they had an 86-year losing streak, the fact they won 3 more, I'm surprised that wasn't mentioned. I had to look that up myself. So you would think that they would talk a bit about that at least. That it definitely changed things for the better on that part. So again, whether you needed one more part or just the ending just felt rushed, I think they should have had one more part so those things could be better explored and filled up and expanded upon. They should be expanded upon. That's really my one big critique of it. But overall, this was a fascinating bit. I remember it being a big deal at the time because no one thought the Red Sox would ever win and would ever beat the Yankees and stuff, and then lo and behold, they did. And obviously, more than once, because 2007, 2013, 2018, they did. So, that's pretty cool. I mean, think about that. They lose for 86 years, and then in the span of 10 years, from 2004 to 2014, they win 3. 3 out of 10. Which, considering 86 with nothing, but then the next 10 you win 3 out of 10, so almost a third of them. That says something. That's pretty big, pretty special. But that's why I thought that would be expanded upon more at the finale, but I'm kind of surprised it wasn't. But maybe that's just me. With that said, though, I liked what I saw. I thought this was pretty good. This was fascinating. Again, I would have been fine with it being a bit longer. Sometimes a bit hard. Like, there's so many people on that team. It was kind of hard to keep track. But the people they interviewed, Pedro Martinez seemed interesting. I liked David Ortiz. I especially liked Kevin Millar. I liked him. I liked the new manager, Terry. They talked with Theo and other people. Overall, this was interesting to watch and learn a thing or two about baseball and about the comeback. I mean, when you think about it, it is like a movie. You're 0 for 3. You lose one more, you're done, and they win 4 in a row, and then the World Series. Again, if you wrote that into a movie, it'd be labeled fantasy, but yet here is the reality. So I kind of wish someone made that remark in the documentary, that this is so fantastical. Again, if you wrote into a movie, people wouldn't believe you. But either way, this was very interesting. Liked it quite a bit. Thanks for watching. Thanks once again to Marc for the request. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.